Hello, and welcome to your special journey through ManorMeta. This is Inkenzo joining you here from the Meta Station. We are here as part of REGENERA today, and we are excited to share a bit of our journey with you. And specifically, I would love to take you on a little bit of an inquiry as we explore 15 years of creative experiences coming together across metaverses to bring this story to you today. We're going to go through the wormhole together with Jajadi in just a moment, and I would love to share with you a little bit of this journey as all of these lovely beings are coming together. Hi, I am Evo, and it's a pleasure to see you here. I'm going to share just a little bit of a story as we begin to look at REGENERA. And specifically, I'm going to show us one more time as we go into our story here. So here's just a little bit of a look at REGENERA and a little bit of what we've been building with ManorMeta. And I'm going to fly through a lot of slides very quickly, but thanks to Jaja's lovely view from 2030, we can begin to see how all of these pieces fit together across our worlds. So let's walk through the forest just a little bit, wherever that forest may be for you, to a deep, beautiful place, a wild place that you've never maybe seen before. And we're going to hold on to a very simple inquiry. This inquiry is an opportunity for all of us to explore what is most important to us and the biggest questions that we all face. Who are we? What are we here for? Why are we here? And what are we here to do together? We've been exploring these questions across metaverses for the better part of 20 years, such as this experience that you're seeing above, which was hosted, I want to say, in 2008 with Kofi Annan and the UN. So if you can imagine these infinite social worlds as simulation zones, places where any of us can find our path, I want you to take a moment to picture what comes for you when you think of a metaverse. What does it mean to be meta? And what are the seeds of that meta experience? When I began writing ManorMeta in 2005, I began with a seed, an idea that intelligent and intuitive AI was already all around us. And it started with a look at biocomputing and the future of quantum computing and nanotech, but specifically looking at the chemistry inside a computer, I began to notice similarities with other types of silicates. Specifically, I looked at crystals and how these massive forms, what Buckminster Fuller might have called artifacts from this earth, how these artifacts hold a form of intelligence that we are just learning to resonate with, to understand, and to work with in different ways. So if you take this seed, a matrix, a crystalline form, it could have any number of minerals and different types of chemicals coming together to form that matrix. You can see that there are certain shapes and things that always will form, certain types of shapes that Bucky Fuller also inspired in his work in biomimicry. And if you play that out, these shapes could be seen in a number of different ways. So what we saw in that crystalline matrix is very similar to what we see here in this quantum computer on display. The very same chemicals are in play. They are arranged in different ways, but functionally and similarly, they do very similar things. So we began to play these ideas out. And specifically, I played them out in a speculative fiction world called ManorMeta. Now, I started this work in 2005. So what you're seeing right now is a creative work from all the way back. If you can imagine, this is Second Life 2005, and my colleague there is a physical person, not an AI. This is a space where we began to play with these ideas and figure out how they could all fit together. So how does this form a larger whole? If you can imagine all of these pieces across metaverses, they're not currently connected, and it's often quite hard to find the connection points between these experiences. I began to see that we have an opportunity to create something larger than one narrative. We have an opportunity to link together all of our visions for this design science decade. We have an opportunity to look forward to the world we want in 2030. And as Jajadi did earlier, send a message back for the rest of our friends, for those in our communities to begin to use. We're going to take a journey across metaverses and across platforms. And what you're going to see includes content and media and stories from the last 15 years. This is exactly 1 year ago, as we were just starting lockdown, we decided to host a gathering in Neos VR and in Hubs and in a few other worlds during the Game Development Conference. And this is a character, a friend of mine named Sarah. She is live painting. And she has a social crew of people around her dancing and having a good time, but she's painting in tilt brush. She is bringing a vision to life in a social space through VR in real time. So we began to play with these ideas. What happens when you make this type of workspace the future of work? What happens when this becomes the future of collaboration? And how do these pieces all fit together into a matrix that we can then work with? And then I began to deconstruct the matrix. So what you're beginning to see here are trained AI, basically algorithms that are my art creators with me. For the last few years, I've trained various algorithmic art programs, generative AI programs, to recognize crystals as architecture and to recognize forms in biomimicry as reality. So instead of thinking of walls as only concrete or drywall, we became accustomed and specifically attuned to new types of architectures, specifically growing architectures and intuitive architectures that may look nothing like what we see today. However, these do have an opportunity to be intelligent environments and ecosystems, closer to what Bucky Fuller was describing in some of his earlier works, whether it's with the domes or with other types of structures. So how does AI fit in? And specifically, I look at not just AI, but what I refer to as alternates. And this is alternate intelligences of all types. Now, if we think of nature in the largest form, nature is our space of rest. It is our coming home. It is obviously the ecosystem that we all share. And it has many different forms of intelligence inside of it. So those crystals might have a very different way of signaling or communicating than a tree or a fungal network or an animal. And all of these alternate intelligences aren't artificial. And so I began to think of what is reality? What is artificialness? And would an AI want to be known as artificial, or would it want to be known as something else, a silicate, an alternate intelligence? And so these ideas began to drive something, and it's an exploration into these meta-narratives. It's an exploration into how all of these meta pieces that we've been creating, both as part of REGENERA and the Design Science Studio, the Collaboratory, and all of these nested works across metaverses. There are common themes, there are common ideas that we're exploring. However, that context right now is very difficult to find because we often don't get to connect from one experience to the next. We are going across many different platforms, but we're also seeing ourselves as something different than what we realized we were before. Whether it's avatar embodied or coming into a Zoom call, we recognize that we are a mystery. We do not understand who we really are. And we certainly don't understand who we are becoming as we immerse ourselves in all of these spaces at once. Now, ManorMeta is a story of mysteries. It is a family-friendly mystery series. So those of you who may have read a Choose Your Own Adventure book or a Nancy Drew mystery, these are stories in that framework. And I began writing these stories in 2005, but early in Hollywood days, honestly, there was not a lot of conversation about our relationships to reality, to AI, or to nature. And so I began to think beyond. Let's think ahead, 5, 10, 15, 20 years into who we want to be. And how do we begin to model that out? Because we are more than what we create ourselves to be, whether that is in a metaverse or in any other space. We use these spaces as tools, and they are opportunities to figure things out in a way that we would not otherwise have had access to. So whether that's a disaster relief simulation, as we're going to look at, or whether that's opportunities for play and discovery, experimentation, all of those are woven into what we do inside metaverses. This play unlocks something very interesting for people because play creates flow. It creates a flow state. And you can see this if you've ever watched your kids play games, or if you're a gamer yourself, you might notice that the deeper you get into the game, time may disappear. You may find that you are very deep in a flow state, something similar to what an artist or an athlete might describe. So this state of fluidity is something that we're going to explore quite a bit. I am currently developing a new art experience that will be opening in about a week. I will certainly be sending all of you the invitation to join us at Fluidity. Fluidity is an XR gallery. It's an immersive gallery dedicated to the gender fluid experience and to what it means to be fluid in this time. And fluidity takes many forms. This art piece, for example, is an art piece that I created, again, using generative algorithms along with my own art. So training algorithms to understand fluidity combined with crystalline forms and other biomimicry that we already use in our design language. So figuring out how all of these pieces come together to create something new, for example, paired art with myself and an AI, or a movie that might be created by hundreds of people like you, along with me and along with many AI, together we create a different type of narrative. So yes, this film is partially AI driven. It is not AI written. You are the writers and the creators along with me. And we're going to talk a little bit about the nature of that as a design science. We're going to explore a little bit of what it means to be in deep partnership with nature, with the other intelligences around us, both human and other life, and with these alternates, with AI, because all of us are creating this new world together. And we need to be deeply rooted, whether it is understanding how these patterns connect or figuring out how we are going to model biomimicry for those alternates. Because right now, the models we give our AI are going to create the world ahead of us. If we tell AI to look for specific types of things, that is what it's going to see. And if we do not teach our alternates to see the world we want to live in, they also cannot design that world with us. So you will notice I am personifying our alternates here. I am using the word they. But let's be very clear here. Alternates are beyond gender and they are beyond the physical body. And these are choices that we are making in that design process. When we design immersive experiences, we're often looking at a handful of different pieces of the puzzle that we can design together. Now, environment is a big part of the immersive experience, and that is true in VR, that is true in a physical space as well. The environment creates that experience that we are having in the moment. Now, how we experience that environment is often influenced by our embodiment, the choices we are given. And embodiment in this virtual world of work takes many different forms. We're very used to Zoom boxes, but in some worlds, you get to be a nonagon, or you get to be an avatar, or you get to be a ball of light. And figuring out how that relationship of embodiment changes your experience in the moment also changes the storyline. So we are exploring a wide variety of environments that are built of this crystalline matrix. And we're going to talk a little bit about how that is going to appear. And then we're going to explore a little bit of those different types of embodiments and how they create a quality of experience that is going to be different no matter where you experience it. Here's the fundamental piece of the puzzle that I want all of you as designers and creators and producers to remember in your own work. The choices you give to people empower them to take those choices as their own in every aspect of their lives. So for example, if you help people become more empowered to be self-confident, to be careful, to be compassionate, if you give people choices that allow them some form of agency, they are going to then take that agency and make use of it in other ways. And that includes social impact, that includes community building, and that includes a number of different types of experiences that aren't necessarily easy for people to get to on the top. So we're talking a little bit about ManorMeta here, and what you're seeing behind me, this experience is from, again, 2005. So you can see a little bit of how the graphics have changed over the last now 15 years of virtual experiences in social VR. This was pre-VR, but we were still having these types of social experiences. In this case, my friend and I are meditating together. And we found that the choice of being able to meditate in that moment gave us a power to then take those meditative experiences into our bodies and then practice them more often. So, for example, just by watching our avatars meditate, our physical bodies became more relaxed, our breath would slow down, and we would feel some of the biological effects of that meditation, even if our physical bodies were not necessarily in those poses. These are very unusual experiences, and people may find that they're having both a transformative or an out-of-body or a disassociative experience. And sometimes these are very difficult things to balance. And so over the years, I began working across many different domains to figure out how to bring together agreements and specifically smart contracts for communities. I'm going to tell you a little bit of a personal story around this piece in particular in culture. My collaborator in culture, the amazing Tony Lynn Casserly, passed away a year ago now. And hers was the first virtual memorial I needed to host. She and I had had many deep conversations about the meaning of life, about spirituality, about the nature of human connection and how to promote loving relationships through blockchain and smart contracts. And what we found was that using the language of biomimicry, we were able to begin helping people understand how these pieces form wholes. They form networks. And this is exactly what Bucky Fuller was describing in his early architectural works, is like this one. So how does this story all fit together? And what in the world does it have to do with psychedelic jello? So I'm going to pass you a few links here, but I want you to be able to see just a little bit of the experimentation we've been doing in projected AR. So physical objects can be imbued with these metaverse stories the exact same way that metaverses can. So you can take a world, you can take a whole experience, and you can embed it inside that psychedelic jello, or whatever you choose. It can be a glass ball or anything at all. The reason I wanted you to think of the physicality of these spaces is because they are not just digital. We dream them. They become a big part of us over the years. And yes, they are mysteries like we are. They are waiting to be explored, and they are places where we can give people an opportunity to have connection to those mysteries in real time. And that's through storytelling. We're going to gather a little bit by the digital fire, and I want to hear some of your stories. And I would love for you to drop comments in, but I'm also going to give you an opportunity to participate in something here. So that is not the link I want to give you right now. What I want to give you is this one in particular, which is the AHA slides. So we're going to explore a little bit of play and what that means to you. So if you see this right now and you see that AHA Slides link, that is where you are going to go. So I'm going to put that up for us, ahaslides.com, and it's E826D. And this is just a very simple way to participate. I'm going to go ahead and stop screen sharing for just a moment. And we're going to go back to that fire pit in just a moment. But I want you to have some opportunities to give your own feedback and to explore how some of these things fit together for you as well. So as we are exploring the sort of wild world of what is possible, a lot of our opportunities and what we recognize as a space to play in. Let's see, I think I need to be to this URL, and that's going to help us. There we go. And my apologies, these screen shares are a little slow for me today because I am a little bit sleepier than I would like to be. But I want to make sure that I give you an opportunity to participate directly. So you will see here, if you go to the AHA Slides, there is a word cloud that you can participate in. And this is an opportunity. We're going to leave it open throughout the day. But I would love to hear, what does play mean for you? And what types of exploring, what types of experimentation are meaningful to you? So as we are going through, I would love for all of you to feel free to share, and that can happen through comments and other ways. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to be sharing a handful of other videos for you as we go, because there are a number of creators who have been joining us for this journey. So back to the fire. This is a friend of mine. We are at the XR Social Club in Alt Space. No, sorry, VR Chat. This would have been a couple days ago. And you can see that these kinds of gatherings sometimes get a little weird. There we are, sometimes just all hands and feet, another person just standing there in the fire. And as we begin to play, as we begin to explore, you can see a colleague of mine, Carlos, there with his avatar that's always holding a cat that meows at you whenever you want. And believe it or not, this is a business meeting. And it's a little bit hard to describe why this is a business meeting until you are in these spaces. But for many of us, this has become how we work. This is how we meet our colleagues. Here we have our friend Carlos, and he is talking to another friend, Christina, who leads the XR Social Club and also leads a volumetric video company. So these kinds of social VR spaces have become a place where we go to share our stories, but it's also where we go to play. So after the fire pit on Wednesday night, we went out to space to go ride some fruit. And you can't tell here, but we're in jetpacks and we are exploring a space where there are literally giant fruit all around us, oranges and apples and all of these sorts of things. Why do we do this? Why do we go to outer space to ride jetpacks with fruit? And why is that fun? Well, all of these are opportunities to do something that is vital, important to us, which is connect with other people. All of the experiences we've been creating at Playable over the last year, whether it's Zoom conferences, things in 2D spaces like Hopin, or 3D spaces like Mozilla Hubs and AltSpace. Maybe you went to the Burning Man Multiverses, that was across 10 different worlds. These are massively collaborative spaces for socialization. and they've become vitally important as the future of media. Now, this is Travis Scott in Fortnite. And if you're not familiar with this experience and why it matters, there were tens of millions of people watching this live in real time. So this guy here, he is the future of media. He's on Twitch and he's got tens of thousands of people in some cases donating and twitching along with him while this concert is happening. Now, these concerts are now happening across many different worlds, but they are one-off experiences. You generally don't necessarily get to collaborate or connect with the other people in the room, nor do you necessarily get the full opportunity to be what we can be, because we are the media. We are media itself. And every time we create one of these virtual experiences, we're the value. We are the content. The people in the room, their ideas, their ability to listen, their ability to create together, that is the value. The media is being created not outside of us, but by us and with us. And it happens every time we offer an invitation to people. So I'm going to be offering an invitation to you now to participate in something that we are doing called Meta Movie. And Meta Movie is a very big idea. And so I'm going to break it down for you because there are lots of different ways to participate depending on how you like to play. For the past year, I have focused on creating social and open safe spaces. And this includes things for conferences. In this case, this was a virtual memorial in Mozilla Hubs. I will happily drop the link to that for you. All of these social and open safe spaces are available, whether it is by a simple download or by a direct web link without download at all. My goal personally has been to figure out how to bring people together in ways that feel nourishing and that feel safe and that feel connecting without creating extra barriers. So that means putting accessibility to the forefront, putting opportunities on the open web to the forefront. And there are very few opportunities currently to do this kind of gathering on the open web. However, that's changing quickly. What we've seen is that open web spaces need to be safe by nature, and that's safe for young people to participate, and that's safe for marginalized people to participate. That is safe for our friends who are Indigenous and maybe have not been given a seat at the table to give voice to their concerns. And so figuring out how do we create level playing fields through metaverses has been a big part of this conversation. And it's not just a conversation that our group or any one person is leading. There are many different aspects of this. If you can go to XRSI and the safety and in specifically focusing on the ethics and the safety of our data, there are great deals of conversations that need to be had about how we are going to engage in these spaces. There's also a conversation about intimacy. Now, here my avatar is in a place called Sansar, and I'm at an art exhibit looking at a piece of art by a friend of mine, Marco Cochran, a piece that was exhibited at the Smithsonian. So this is a mirror world of a physical place. In this example, it is the Smithsonian Burning Man exhibit that happened a few years ago. Now, intimacy looks different in each of these worlds. And so we've begun creating across as many worlds as possible to go to where people are. And you've been seeing a little bit of that Topia, New Art City, and hubs in these early experiments. But we're also building in at least 10 metaverses right now. And I want to give you a little bit of a sample of what that's going to look like. This is Sansar. Sansar is the evolution of what was Second Life and other tools specifically designed for these virtual experiences. Ozone Universe, which was one of the multiverses that we enjoyed during Burning Man last year, has been phenomenal as a large-scale event partner. VR Chat, which you just saw with my friends at the fire. Alt Space, which we're going to look at again. Minecraft and Roblox, which are great spaces for kids. Neos and Rec Room. So I want to show you just a little bit of what this looks like, because we've been creating these for a very long time. And you know what? This video is going to be too long. I'm not even going to show it to you, but I'm going to show you a little bit later. There's a link to it. That video is a talk that we gave on hybrid experiences in January as part of CES, and specifically as part of an event called Dreamland. And this all happened inside Alt Space. It was created over the course of about a month to replace the Vegas version of CES. And we're going to jump in just a minute to look at some other Alt Space experiences. But I'm going to welcome a friend of mine into the show very shortly. We're going to look at a little bit of Brian's work in just a moment. Brian is one of those regenerative artists that I met originally in Alt Space and figuring out how to create these sort of generative experiences. So I think, oh goodness, I might have lost Brian, but we're going to get him back shortly. I want to show you a little bit of Brian's work to start.
This first stop is where the magic begins. Welcome to the White Mirror Hub. I first met Anuraj at a Singularity University event about 4 months ago, and by complete synchronicity had a direct connection with him with a Burning Man sculpture I did called the Men's Amplio, and an EEG headset company he's on the board of called Neurosky. This place is dual purpose, the hub for White Mirror and also a place I created for my wife Tina and I to teach English in virtual reality. It's a mix of sacred geometry, with Metatron's cube in the sky, magical islands floating below them, and the entire story unfolding from a book, with the pages being the
We're going to explore that whole video in just a little bit, and I want to make sure, I don't know that we're going to be able to get Brian back in our show today, but we're going to try. If not, I would love for you to check out a little bit of Brian's work. We're going to look at a little bit of how that fits together. But for now, let's talk through a little bit of what's been happening in Alt Space, because this is an interesting space for collaboration and for creativity and for opportunities to connect with people in relatively safe ways. So I'm that blue avatar on the far left there. This is, again, from Alt Space, but it is about an event that is coming up in just a few. And I see that Brian's joining us. So I'm going to try and bring him into our stream now. Hello, Brian. How are you?
I don't hear you. So I'd stand by.
Are you not hearing me?
Yeah, sorry, Evil. I can't hear you if you can hear me. My audio is not working. Stand by.
Okay.
Hey, everybody. I can't hear the broadcast, so I just might need a second to get my volume working. I want to bring it back in a moment. Sorry. I'm a technical person, but I can't get my technical to work. How funny.
Brian,
I can tell by the laugh. I
amazing
can't hear you, but I can tell what that means.
Yeah. Let's hear.
This first stop is where the magic begins. Welcome to the White Mirror Hub. I first met Anuraj at a Singularity University event about 4 months ago. And by complete
So Brian, when you do hear us, Brian is the creator of this art that we are seeing right now, which is a beautiful new piece of work that is designed around resonance and biomimicry and our human connections. This is a space in alt space.
Geometry, with Metatron's cube in the sky, mythical islands floating below them, and the entire story unfolding from a book, with the pages being the two completed four-page comics from the White Mirror universe. To bring this entire experience together, it's in space within the Milky Way.
So Brian has created this beautiful virtual space, and it is not his first art piece. We're going to also see a second piece called Unity Sanctuary soon. But this piece is called White Mirror, and it is quite interactive. The reason I'm showing you these works is in part because we are going to be featuring a number of these interactive play spaces as places for you to make your parts of this meta movie. So if you can imagine going to this location or one of dozens of other locations across metaverses, this is a space where you will be welcomed to go and make media and send it to us as part of the longer story. And unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get Brian to be able to hear us. But Brian, we're great to see you.
Hey, everybody.
Either way.
I totally can't hear you, but I figured I would just explain real quick about all the things going on. What you're seeing right now is something called Unity Sanctuary. It's a world I created in alt space for Burning Man back in 2020 when Burning Man was in the multiverse because it had to move locations. And now actually what you're seeing is something that sort of came from it, something called WhiteMirror.live. White Mirror is incubated at the Singularity University from my buddy Anuraj. It's about telling modern day stories, future stories of science prediction using modern day technology and showing how beautiful it really is. We just did a presentation, and this is the video we presented at Singularity University Australia's Global Summit. And I think it's pretty impressive that we're able to take something like this and present it to some of the most, some very influential minds in technology. And when they saw this, not only were they blown away, but their hearts were really taken as, we're really trying to help the world in a very fundamental way. Actually, with White Mirror, I came up with another idea called the Connected Experience, which is going to be a video showing up just after this. And with the Connected Experience, it's a collaboration with the WhiteMirror.live, and really, White Mirror is the science prediction stories of the future, and the Connected Experience is how we're going to do it. Connected Experience is actually. Phone's going off.
No worries, Brian. We're all here and we're all in the flow today.
The Connected Experience is actually a social experiment in bridging the gap between the virtual and the physical realities. And really what I'm trying to do is show a positive nature of technology as we tell in the science prediction stories of White Mirror. And in real time with the Connected Experience, take measurements of people's biofeedback live and put them on a visualization in a sculpture, which you'll see. I'm not sure if it's coming up, but the idea is really to show people how positive they really
I apologize. I'm going to go ahead and add
Then they can see that no matter what they want in life, no matter how crazy it sounds, they can do it because with something like the Connected Experience, it'll be kind of that bridge using technology and love, actually. And I'm just really excited to be a part of that.
So we are now joined as well, Brian, by an amazing futurist and colleague, Jaja D. I hope I am giving your name correctly. Is that correct, love?
That is correct. Yes, here I am. Yes, I'm coming to you live from the future. My form of transmission is through a wormhole. We have perfected the art of wormhole messaging, and so I can submit these video messages to you from the future.
That's exciting. I would love to hear. We got to see your short missive from the future at the beginning of our hour, and I will share it again at the end. But Jajadi, would you please share with us the core of why you chose to send these messages back from the future for us?
Absolutely. I feel that we all, obviously, everybody here is so driven towards creating a better future, and I believe that through sharing a vision of what that future actually looks like, it's a lot easier to get there, to build those bridges. I just wish you guys were here. It's so beautiful on the other side, and all the work that you're doing right now, all of it is worth it. It is so worth it.
Oh, that's exciting. I love hearing from you, by the way, and getting your note just made me so happy because we've been a part of this design science decade, looking ahead and backcasting from 2030. So your message, Jaja, came in perfect timing. And you mentioned something in your video about biofeedback and neuro devices. And this is something Brian just mentioned as well in his art. Could you tell us a little bit of where you see us connecting in that space?
Absolutely. So I actually customized my own biome jewelry. So as you can see, my tiara is actually a read-write brain-computer interface, which I've customized to help me in my particular realm of work. I am very interested in being able to understand and more deeply connect with nature. And so through my BCI, I can see the nutrient intake of plants, and the just interconnectedness of all beings, which I think really helps me be a great steward of the earth.
That's a powerful place to be coming from because you've already done the experimentation. You've seen where we've been, and now you can give us a little bit of feedback back as far as what works and what doesn't work, interactivity, those feedback loops of the experiment. Jaja, you've seen what happens if we can be our best in 2030. Are there pieces that you want to make sure we hold on to and spotlight and make the most of in this moment?
Absolutely. I think that understanding our impact is the most important part, from the large scale to the smaller scale, especially working in the technology space. In your era, there is a huge issue around developing technology without really understanding the impacts. And so, when moving into the future, it's really important to do a deep study on, what do we expect to come from this, and what are the interconnections between nature and technology and society. One of the things that I think was part of this revolution was the move away from centrally held data to decentralized data and on-device data storage, which is actually a bit of a cycle, because for example, the early experiments before your era in home design and smart home design were all centrally held, and the creators of that experiment thought that it would be crazy to have that data. It was critical to have that data actually be in the home, because your home is such a, your little biome, your home, where the buffalo roam, that's you.
It is. And a lot of what we've been exploring with ManorMeta, with those stories as well, is what happens if your home is intuitive and tuned into your subconscious. And if you are creating this resonance together and something is off with you, is your home also going to experience that? Because these are related ecosystems. We are not separate from our environment.
Yes, 100%. I think that as we move forward, we really see each day, I see more and more how interconnected everything is. And, you know, in your home, your biome, you are affecting it and it is affecting you just in a similar way as how we create technology and then it shapes us. And technology is in a way part of our home as well, because a lot of our time is spent in virtual worlds, and particularly for you on the screen. And my world is deeply influenced by BCI input.
Absolutely. Well, you are a partnered being in some form. You are able to be here because of a partnership, a collaboration between energies and ideas and tools. Brian, are you able to hear us?
Yes, I figured it out.
Excellent.
I've worked in technology so long, you'd think I know how to do technology.
Brian, I am so excited for you and Jaja and I to be in conversation, because you're doing some very interesting work around biofeedback right now in art. I would love for you to share a little bit of how that fits together.
You know, it's really interesting. I was thinking to myself, how are we going to connect everybody in the entire world and explain to them such high level ideas like quantum physics, you know, building communities. And then I thought to myself, wait a second, you know, I've done this before. Use art, and not only use art, use tools like brain control interfaces, and show someone when they connect their mind to this piece and it does this beautiful visualization. It's not the thing doing it, it's them producing this piece of art with their brain. And, you know, I've done it before in 2013 for Burning Man. But now it's just a whole new level, because what we want to do and what my vision is to connect your brain, your heart. We've done the heart already. That's actually really easy, much easier than actually the BCI translation. But connect your brain, your mind and heart connection into alt space, virtual reality world, and other virtual reality platforms, as well as physical reality sculpture that will sort of be an identical vision of what it looks like in virtual reality, and have everyone in the entire world be able to connect to it, just to see how powerful they really are. You know, their heart and their mind will connect with someone else's heart and their mind, and they won't have to speak anyone else's other language, because what they'll do is they'll connect to this and create beautiful sounds and beautiful visualizations and talk to each other through art. And then the whole idea behind that is, and the vision is, people truly understand how important this technology really is. And the meat and potatoes of it, if you're hopefully not a vegetarian, I'm kind of a vegetarian, but I'll say meat and potatoes, but it's just a metaphor. And the hope is people see how important this technology is. So people put investment and resources into it, specifically for things like education and healthcare. So what we're trying to do is, underneath the umbrella of the connected experience itself, is then help instigate the advancement, the accelerated advancement of virtual reality education and telehealth. So everyone in the entire world can get some of the basic needs they need.
Oh, Brian, I love that. And we're going to play a video that you sent me that just made me so happy when you sent it. And then I'm going to include a link for how others can play with this too. So you can tell us a little bit of what we're going to see here.
So right now, this video is the first proof of concept of something called a shader. And a shader in the virtual reality is the texture on all those panels, and they're actually reacting to the output of this piano, and the output of this piano is actually connected to someone in the physical reality. And it's the same exact technology that we are going to use to get your heart rate and your brain waves into here to actually talk to this sculpture. We've already done it. It's actually not very complicated. What we do is we take the heart rate data and the brainwave data and translate it to MIDI through something like through a small microcomputer like an Arduino. And the beautiful thing about this is anyone could do this. Like with the heart rate, it's literally $20 or $30 for all the components. And one thing that I would love to do and trying to do is create a STEAM kit for the STEM kit for the STEM education program, and have one of these little kits available in every science museum in the world. So everyone can buy this thing, learn how electronics work, learn how coding works, learn about community, build this thing with their family, put the little heart rate sensor on their finger, connect to this sculpture, and either in physical reality or virtual reality, connect with someone.
I love this future you're living in, Brian. It's wonderful. It's exciting. And if you want to play this piano right now, you can go to the URL at the bottom of the screen there, illuminati360.xyz/piano, and you can hook up your MIDI piano to that device. It is in alt space, correct?
Correct.
Got it. And White Mirror and the Unity Sanctuary are also there as well.
White Mirror, the Unity Sanctuary, and that piece, the Connected Experience, which kind of ties everything together.
I love it. I love it. I'm so glad that you were able to share some of that with us today. I know that we only get a few minutes to fully get the dive, and you've got hours of content. I had a chance to meet Brian during the virtual Burning Man events, and this is how events bring people together. Someone who had seen Brian's art told me about it, and I was like, okay, I gotta go meet this guy. And then I met Brian and his wife Tina. Turns out I had met his wife before because she is an amazing artist and creator as well, and we're neighbors. And so we got to have this opportunity to connect through a virtual experience. And those form new types of relationships. Sometimes those relationships last for decades. So, Jajadi, I would love to hear your thoughts on how this all fits together in your world and in your future.
I love this, Brian. I think this is exactly how the bridge is built. And in terms of creating impact, to tap into your own energy, your prana, and to understand and see it reflected back to you through others and through the universe, like that is the understanding that everything is one. And the more that we can see that and experience that and celebrate the unity of the universe, the closer we are to enlightenment, really, whatever that means to you. That, you know, I think your work is a really powerful tool, and that art and entertainment do so much in providing that reflection for us.
Absolutely. And I am going to share a little bit of how we are seeding a little bit of that structure, that organization, that sense of connection, because all of the things that we are doing here are seeds for something bigger. And if you imagine what Brian just created, that mirror is a seed for a global experience. What Jajadi is creating as a storyteller is a seed for a much broader experience. And you can visit with Brian, you can visit with Jajadi. You have a YouTube channel now, I noticed. So that's exciting.
That is my primary form of communication with your era. And you can add the link if you like.
I would love to, and I will be sure to do that, because all of these stories fit together into that meta narrative. And it doesn't matter if you're looking at a story like what we did a few years ago with the wild cacao journey across Brazil. If you're talking about a story like Silence in Paradise, which is a physical 360 story that one of Jajadi's friends, Kevin Coons, worked with, he's the director on, and I got a chance to help bring some of these stories together. As you can see, The line between the physical and the virtual has never been thinner. And we are now exploring this world where it is very blurry, and the worlds that we can create might have an impact in this physical world here and now. And whether that's collaboration or play, as we described earlier, or that's something bigger, like the festivals. And Shahadi, I believe this is a photo that I came by because of you. If I remember right, you have been an amazing storyteller of cross worlds. And I'm just so grateful that you've been able to figure out how to translate through the wormhole all of these amazing metaverse experiences.
Me too. And I'm so grateful to you for building this community that transcends time.
Well, we are going to create quite a bit more together. We're going to be wrapping up pretty shortly here, but I would love to hear any last thoughts you have on regenerative futures and ways in which you would love for people to participate in your work. And then I will share a little bit more about how you can participate in MetaMovie.
I guess I'll start real quick. When I was on the Singularity University Summit, I got asked the same question, and I told them, what you do is you crack open your laptop, download some free software, and create imagination. And do whatever's on, and do whatever you think you need to do. And believe in yourself. That's really it, I think.
I love that.
Definitely. Yeah, I love that too. I think that, yeah, I really think that everything, all the change in this world stems from imagination and empowerment. You have to be able to imagine the future that you want to live in, and you need to feel empowered to live it in the present. So what I would encourage all children of Earth is to live the future they want in the present. We see that in activist organizations who really believe in an equitable future and work to ensure that their higher levels of organization are people of all different backgrounds. And we see that in people who design lifestyles for themselves that are more in alignment with their values. So I would just encourage you that the future isn't a far off place. It's like what you create in the now, and it won't exist unless you can live it in the now.
Living it in the now means being present with the people who are here in inquiry with us. And I'm just so grateful for both of you for the inquiry that you bring to this process. And as we begin to imagine what a massively metaverse media project can be, a film, a document of our shared experiences, are there any seeds you want to put into this movie and into this project together?
I love this project. I'm so excited to see how it pans out. One thing that I'm really excited about doing is being in conversation with other thought leaders from the future and examining how their new design systems have contributed. And yeah, I would just definitely, if you're interested in joining that conversation, please join us on YouTube at Jajadi from the Future. And I'll see you there.
And I just want to give a little bit of a shout out to some of the folks who participated in this conversation today, and also some of the folks and artists that you got to see in these pieces. So thank you. Thank you both for sharing so much of what you're working on and how this all fits together. The MetaMovie website is currently soft live, in that I have not moved that DNS to be live for all of you. We are going to open up a submission process in April where you can participate as storytellers with us. That is going to happen across many different metaverses, and each metaverse has its own opening time frame. So because there are places like where Brian has created that you can go and make movies today, we want to encourage you, go out there, tell your stories, go to the digital campfire with your friend and capture the story that you want, the same way Jajadi did with her missive from the future. Thank you so much, both of you, for sharing your film projects and for all the things that you've been working on. Brian, I'm going to go ahead and put your video on one more time, if I can, as we're heading out. Actually, you know what? I want to play our wormhole video one more time as well. So let's do that first. And thank you, Jajadi, for sharing this with us. This is such a powerful piece of work.
Oh, thank you, Eva. And thank you, Brian. It was a real pleasure to meet you, and I hope that I can send my heartwave transmissions to you.
I really use it. I'll tell you that right now.
Hi, I'm Jaja D, and I'm from the future. From the future? What? I know what you're thinking. If she's from the future, why is she talking to us right now? Well, as you might have guessed, you are at a turning point in history. Relationships with the earth, with technology, with each other are being shaken and tested to their core. I know the future feels dark right now, and that's why I compressed these messages and sent them back in the wormhole to 2021. I wish I could be there in person, but wormholes, I'm afraid, are not very good on organic matter. Anyways, I'm here to share some tools with you. What kind of tools? A ship for interplanetary travel? A million-mile battery? A non-invasive brain-computer interface? Don't worry, all of those things are coming. But what good is hardware if you don't have the right software? I'm here to help you upgrade your software. Up here. Imagination is the most powerful tool in the box, girl. Think about it. All of those other things just started off as an idea and bloomed into a dope-ass reality. And you can totally do that. I want to dive into the ideas that shape our world, our values, how we communicate, empower each other, and make decisions as a group. These innovations are the most important our society has. Those structures actually determine how our technologies are used. So let's exchange some ideas. I want to talk technology, environmentalism, spirituality. What do you want to talk about? Do you have questions about what the future is like? Drop them in the comments below. I may not be able to answer all of your questions myself, but I'll bring in my friends from across the galaxy to help. Remember, live the future you want in the present. See you soon.
I love it. Jajadi, you're so amazing.
Oh, Eva, you're amazing. I think, the best thing I can do is offer a mirror.
Well, thank you for offering a mirror. We're going to look at one more mirror right now. And I want to try and play this all the way through with a little bit more volume this time because I don't think we could hear Brian very well the first time.
This first stop is where the magic begins. Welcome to the White Mirror Hub. I first met Anuraj at a Singularity University event about 4 months ago, and by complete synchronicity had a direct connection with him with a Burning Man sculpture I did call the Men's Amplio, and an EEG headset company he's on the board of called Neurosky. This place is dual purpose, the hub for White Mirror and also a place I created for Tina and I to teach English in virtual reality. It's a mix of sacred geometry, with Metatron's cube in the sky, magical islands floating below them, and the entire story unfolding from a book, with the pages being the 2 completed 4-page comics from the White Mirror universe. To bring this entire experience together, it's in space within the Milky Way, which might seem so distant, but a place where everyone can come together in peace and in love. 2 of the 6 islands have mirrors in them, which are portals to White Mirror collaborations, Unity Sanctuary, and the Connected Experience. The mirrors themselves only see the person who is looking in them, as it is a reflection of yourself, a journey that everyone needs to go through. And with this experience and the stories of White Mirror, we will help guide the world to a utopia, where the journey starts from the islands to the portals that transport you through the beams of light, passing through Metatron's cube, which is the fabric of the universe, and then into the unknown, the beauty of your own imagination. Welcome to White Mirror. Welcome to Unity Sanctuary, which is a place of sound and light healing that I created for one of 8 Burning Man multiverses, BRCVR, in Altspace in 2020. It's inspired by my wife Tina's dream of a Burning Man themed camp with a collective she founded called Chinese Beyond
So
Borders.
beautiful.
Their mission is to bring Chinese art and culture to Burning Man and beyond, and are very well known for their Chinese lantern-inspired dresses. The original concept design was by Tina's architect classmate, Earl Sheldon, and took the form of a lantern yurt. I took the original concept drawings and created this environment you see in front of you. 8 smaller lanterns suspended from a 9th larger one. Each one houses a sculptural altar inspired by religious and cultural ideology aesthetic, with the intention of someone seeing what they might know in life from their own culture or religion, and be more open to sound and light healing. It's a safe place where everyone can come together in peace and harmony, represented by the different colors of the rainbow and the glowing orbs in each lantern. The large lantern on the ground houses a sculpture I brought to the playa in 2017 called Life Within Itself, which is a memorial I created for my dad who passed away that year. It's designed with hexagons within hexagons and is an abstract of the Fibonacci sequence. The 8 smaller lanterns are the sound and light healing rooms, and currently all house the first of a series of 8 altars. This one is called the Fountain of Ponlai, the Path of Flow, which is also inspired by my wife as well as represents Chinese culture. Its design is based on the Bagua, which is fortune telling, and the music in this lantern is a Buddhist chant recited by Tina's close friend Mian Mian, known as the bad girl of literature for writing about sex, drugs, and rock and roll in the 90s in China, who is now a born-again Buddhist. A version of this sculpture was at an exhibit I helped create with the Brain Tech Group out of UC Berkeley, which we presented at the Exploratorium Science Center in San Francisco, and I used a Muse EEG headset and a Raspberry Pi microcomputer to create a lighting sequence on the sculpture. By solving a puzzle, the output of your mind slowly lit up the sculpture. Welcome to the Connected Experience, a bridge between the physical and virtual realities to bring community together. Watch as a Voronoi pattern unfolds into the sculpture you see in front of you. Also based in the Milky Way, this world will be a social experiment, taking biofeedback and translating it into sound and light visualization, which will be projected on the inside panels of this sculpture. This will happen in both physical and virtual reality simultaneously, as well as real-time interaction between both. The underlying purpose of this world is to be the current technology which is told in the future stories of White Mirror, showing how important technology really is, as it is not here to hurt us, it is here to save us, and to help accelerate the development of the education and health industries. This is the bridge to utopia, and the future we all need to be. Thank you.
That's so beautiful, Brian. I love it. And I hope that many, many folks will come to these spaces, think about creating their own media stories in these environments, and then sharing them with us. The Meta Movie submission form is going to be opening next week, and we would love to see your stories. And obviously, these 2 filmmakers, I want to bump up to the top of the list because I am just deeply inspired by your work, by the spaces you're creating, by the stories you're telling, and especially by how you're telling them. So for all of us who are just in awe, thank you. Thank you for making new worlds, and thank you for putting your ideas forward and giving us a place to play with them.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you too. you know, it's interesting. I'm reminded sometimes that sometimes I tell people I am just an ordinary man who just happens to be doing extraordinary things. And the truth is, it's really it's really possible for anyone to do these things. And my hope is that people see that I'm able to do this, and that every single person who sees this understands that they can do it as well. And this is the sort of the chain reaction that we will help create to help change the world.
I could not agree more. And I think that in the future, you'll see that everybody's talents are valued, and you may not think of yourself as fitting into a certain future, but know that you are an integral part of it.
Exactly.
That's a beautiful place to close on. Thank you so much for joining us here. we are going to leave it at that, but we hope that you will come to some of these spaces that we've explored. Come and check out Regenera this week as part of the Buckminster Fuller Institute Design Science Studio, produced by our friends at Hub Virtual. Special thanks to Roxy and Nico and all of the folks who've been creating those worlds. I'm going to show you just a little bit of what that looks like. If you go to Regenera City, you're going to see this lovely guy along with some of our friends over there. And you can explore at Regenera Art. And you're going to see a number of different links to virtual worlds, including Topia, New Art City, and some of the works that we've been creating, such as the first stage of Meta. So thanks so much for joining us. And this is Evo Haining signing off from all of us here. Have a wonderful day.